Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a good evening. We are with you here on If You Don't Like That. Very happy to do so. We start off with the Kings. DeMar DeRozan will not play tomorrow. Back issue again. Trey Lyles is out for several weeks. The Kings are going to have a new player on their roster, Jae Crowder, who, by the way, they did bring in for a workout right before training camp began, but he did not make the cut, and he was available because he wasn't playing for anybody else. Good news, Ryan, if you want to look at a silver lining, is the Timberwolves just got done playing tonight at home. They lost to the Houston Rockets in overtime, 117 to 111, and three of their starters played over 40 minutes.
We'll take it. You'll take any break that you can get, Grant. It's going to be the battle of two teams that are struggling, 4-6 in the last 10 for Minnesota, yep. 3-7 for the Kings, buddy.
Yeah, Minnesota is going to be a tired team. There's no question about that. But the way the Kings are playing, all bets are off. Houston, by the way, they just keep winning. You know, they're very impressive, 13 wins and 6 losses. But let's get back to the Kings. No DeMar DeRozan. You got to be a little concerned now that this is an issue that has popped up again with his back.
Yeah, he has played historically in his career 92% of all of the regular season games, and this will make, I believe, the 4th game that he'll be missing this season, Grant. And you brought up the point. Could this be something lingering? Could this have to do with minutes? It's definitely something that has my attention. How about you?
It has everyone's attention. I don't think there's any question about that. It also means that De'Aaron Fox is going to go off tomorrow because it seems like whenever DeRozan is not on the floor, he's scoring 40 and 50 points.
Yeah, and, wouldn't that be ironic if you get another big night from Fox with DeMar off the court? You've talked about the storyline there. I think the other storyline on this one is, are we going to see Keon Ellis in the starting lineup again?
I think you will. I don't think there's any question about that. I think when, I hate to keep on bringing up Mike Brown, but I watched Michael Malone's press conference after they got humiliated by the Knicks. And Michael was, like, to borrow one of Jerry's expressions, like a rained-on rooster. And yeah. Mike Brown comes on after his team just gets their ass kicked and spends the first couple minutes complimenting Oklahoma City. I don't compliment the other team, all right? I mean, it drives me freaking crazy. You can say I give credit to Oklahoma City, but then don't go into everything that they do well. It drives me crazy. You can say, first of all, I want to credit Oklahoma City. They played very well. I'm fine with that. But then you got to go into what they do and how they do it. And, it just, I don't like that style. It's just me. I don't like that style, but I'm nitpicking here, but that just drives me freaking crazy.
I actually don't think you're nitpicking. I think you're pointing out something that perked my ears. There's almost, if you listen to a lot of the post-game press conferences when the Kings have had these struggles, there's almost a passive aggressive element there. From Grant, he talked about OKC last night, how they did it every single time. They followed exactly what the Kings should be doing. And so for me, I would rather have the Michael Malone approach, what you're talking about. Call him out by name, get it out there, and be done with it.
Yeah. What I do know is the Kings are 8-10. They've lost 4 in a row. And I'm looking at their schedule upcoming, and it's not easy. Even though Minnesota's struggling, that's still going to be this is a big game for both teams tomorrow. I can tell you this, Minnesota's going to be tired, but they're also looking at this as this is a big game for them.
Yeah, it's a big game for both teams. I mean, every game in the Western Conference is big. I mean, for the Kings in particular, coming off the fact that you can't guard the 3 against teams that don't shoot the 3 that effectively, this is a team tomorrow that lives with the 3-pointer. And Julius Randle also has been a tough guard. And they've got a 6th man of the year candidate so far in Alexander Walker.
Man, you think that they're regretting the Rudy Gobert trade right now in Minnesota? They're 8-9.
Oh, the Towns trade? Yeah. I think
Karl Anthony Towns. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, I think you're looking at it. I don't think you're that concerned. Now, if Randall had gotten hurt already, then I'd be concerned. But both teams seem to be, would you say, easing into this or struggling with it?
I would say struggling. I mean, the Knicks are 10-7. I mean, I don't know if that's in the East. 10-7 gets you in 4th place, but Minnesota is 8-9, and without Karl Anthony Towns, they haven't looked anything like last year's team.
Yeah, much different. I think Naz Reid has not given them as much this year. I think they're still playing with the combinations a little bit. Long season to go, but you can't. as you said last night, you can't have a bad streak this season, especially in the West.
Mike Brown was asked about the 3-point defense last night, and I didn't care for his answer at all. I think it's just, again, it didn't add up to me because it's a ongoing problem, and it's a big issue for this team, Ryan. It is a big issue, and it's not getting any better.
Completely agree. In fact, Grant, this is exactly what he had to say.
That they had. How do you get them to get through that and just play through?
Keep talking to them about it.
Wrong drop. Number 3 is the drop we're looking for.
Maybe in the second half, or maybe in it might have been the second half. We might have been 1 for 13, I think, from the floor. From the 3-point line. So again, we got to get to a point where we're spraying it, but not only are we spraying it, but
that's the spray. Apologize. But yes, not that they're guarding the ball. They're having troubles guarding the ball straight forward. And it's true, but I thought it was not exactly the problem last night when you're playing against a guy like SGA, Grant.
Yeah, all I know is their record is 8-10, and one of the reasons why their record is 8-10 is because they don't shoot the 3 well and they don't stop the 3.
Got to be able to do that, or you got to do something extraordinary.
Right. Yes.
It's the story of 4s right now. They've lost 4 in a row. You look at the stats over the last 4 games. Their net rating is a negative 10.8. Grant, Domas is averaging 4.7 turnovers in this 4-game stretch. Field goal percentage is down 4%. 3-point percentage is down 4%. And here's the kicker. The secret sauce for the Kings has been free throws. They're down almost 9% over the last 4 games.
That's big right there, Rhino. That's big.
It's a lot of points. It's a lot of points.
Yeah, that's big. Wow. Yeah. Again, the Kings to me are 7 to 10 days away from another bad stretch from not coming out of this thing. And I really mean that. These games coming up beginning tomorrow in Minneapolis, absolutely huge. And there's no excuse now. All right. You've got to figure this out. You're running out of time in this Western Conference. You just are. You're running out of time. I know it's early in terms of we're not even at Thanksgiving yet, but I guarantee you that in New Orleans they don't think it's early.
Well, Malik was asked last night, Grant, if he was worried. Here's what he had to say.
No concerns. We just got to lock in from the get-go and play 48 minutes. We played 3 quarters a lot and never finished with four quarters playing all the way through. So if we play 48 minutes, I think we'd be all right.
Is it that simple?
I don't think so. By the way, I want to just follow up one thing on Minnesota. Mike Conley and Joe Ingles, they were questionable before the game tonight. They did not play. So keep your eye on whether they get 2 players back tomorrow. But listen, I expect Malik Monk to answer the question that way, that he's not concerned. I mean, I totally get that. I've never paid attention to sound bites from the locker room, from players. Coaches, yes. Players, no. They don't really mean that much to me.
Yeah.
They really don't. You can say all you want. Actions speak louder than words. Go out and play better. That's the way I look at it.
Fair enough. I think there's certain players to me that give you an honest answer, and more times than not, that's Malik. He'll tell you what he's thinking. He'll tell you what he's feeling. And he holds Coach Brown accountable. Somebody needs to.
I'm looking at all these messages, and I see all the responses about Crowder and other players. I get it. There's no easy answer right now. There's no easy answer right now at all. Period. There's just not. The players that are on the top 8 on the roster need to play better, with the exception of maybe De'Aaron Fox, who's been playing great.
Yeah, how do you see, let's go to Crowder really quick, because on the show earlier today, I said he's somewhere in between a Doug McDermott and a Trey Lyles, leaning much closer to Doug McDermott. As you said earlier, he's a guy the Kings passed on and signed Doug, so he's going to be forced into some minutes here. He's supposed to meet the team tomorrow in Minnesota. What do you see as his role? You called Doug perfectly last time.
There's a reason why he's not on an NBA roster right now. There's a reason why nobody had him going to training camp after he did workouts for multiple teams in September. Now, all of a sudden, he's supposed to be ready to play. I've always liked Jae Crowder. I've always appreciated his game, but he's 34 and he's not good enough to be on an NBA roster a month into the season, and was not good enough to be invited to training camp after several workouts for teams. Why should I be excited?
I think teams, well, Jerry Reynolds, he said his biggest objection to Jae Crowder, besides the age, was you need minutes for him. That was a point of contention in Milwaukee towards the end of his tenure there. But you look at 22-23, he only played 18 games, Grant. He played 50 last season, but he also had a torn abductor. So the question becomes, can he stay healthy? And does he have something to prove? And if he can stay healthy, maybe, just maybe, he helps the shooting on this team.
He can't be any worse than Trey Lyles was.
That's a good point. Trey has struggled. And Grant, Trey, you want to talk about struggling? This is not just this season. This goes back to last season that he's been dealing with these calf issues. So if you're the Kings, you got to start planning like Trey might not be in the cards.
Yeah, no question. Kai, I've read your comment on the chat line. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I think right now we should not expect too much from Jae Crowder. Okay?
No.
We just shouldn't. He hasn't played in a game in, what, 7 months, 6 months? Right?
Yeah, he's not in an NBA game. No.
I mean, I don't know if will he play tomorrow?
Yes.
You think he will?
Yeah, I do think he will.
Just
if
because
he's in
of no
decent
DeRozan,
shape.
no Lyles, you need a body on the floor, right?
You need a body on the floor. You look at what the Kings did, and granted, it was the preseason, Grant. Doug flew into Sacramento. The deal was finalized the night they were playing in Utah. Flew into Sac the next day, did the physical, the meetings with the front office, got to LA late night. Next day, he played heavy minutes in the 5th preseason game. I think it's all hands on deck for the Kings if you're healthy.
Okay, fair enough. I want to get to this comment because you talked about this and we've talked about this. As I mentioned this during Ryan's show, but if the Kings don't make the playoffs, I think Fox should be traded or he should leave. It hurts to see him in his prime and not winning. Thoughts? I think that's a strong possibility, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it's a possibility that the Kings need to be a step ahead on. Wouldn't you say, Grant?
Yes, they definitely need to be a step ahead on. And here's the other thing, and I'm not blaming this just on Fox. But, after 8 years, if you don't make the playoffs this year and you only have 3 playoff wins in 8 years, and he's been your guy, maybe you try something else.
Well, and here's the other possibility that you can add on top of that. This run, whatever we're going to call it, this open window for the Kings to be in playoff contention, maybe 22-23 was the outlier.
Yep.
Because we have a bigger sample size of what we've seen early on in this season and last season than we do of that first good season.
It's a great point. I would say this about Fox. All right. If you are thinking of moving him, you better have a trade that is a home run. Okay. Can't be a C. It can't be a B. It needs to be an A. It needs to be an A. All right. He's a commodity, and you better make sure that you get a commodity back in return. That's a no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Wouldn't you say, though, the closer you get to the expiration of the contract, the less it becomes likely that you're going to get an A or an A plus? It goes down as we come up to the end of this season?
It's a great question. I still think you can get a hell of a player for him. I really do. And if you don't, then that's a real problem. But he's now in his 8th season. Okay.
Yep.
And again, I'm a postseason guy. I'm not a regular season guy. He's got 3 wins in his career in the postseason. And
he broke his hand. He broke his finger, though.
I understand, but that's 1 year.
Yeah,
they didn't make the playoffs last year, and I'm not putting it all on him. I'm just saying it's like at some point you got to move on. I think maybe this is not a great example, but Derek Carr of the Raiders, 10 years, looked very good at times. There were times when you would just be, wow, this guy is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. and then it wasn't there. And oh yeah, he didn't have a playoff win in his 10 years, and they decided to go in a different direction. All right. I mean, at some point, you have to determine as an organization if paying the bank vault and opening up the bank vault to a player who has not had success with you as a team is worth it. It's something you must discuss as an organization.
And historically, this is about the time that teams make that decision. You saw the decision on Klay Thompson, Vince Carter, 7 years in Toronto, DeMar DeRozan, 9 years in Toronto. Fox will be coming up on that 9th year. So it's a very solid point. I think what's going to make this decision that much harder is if we see the continued play of De'Aaron Fox that we have seen since his 60-point game, because this is, to me, the best version of Fox.
Well, and what happened with DeMar DeRozan? They had the best player on their team, and they traded him. And what happened?
They got better. They won a championship.
They won a championship, right?
Yep.
They traded their best player. They got Kawhi Leonard, and they won a championship. So don't say you can't trade your best player. That's one example of a team trading their best player and then the next year winning a championship.
Yeah, well, you look at the top of the NBA right now, Grant. That's what the contenders have been doing. Not that it's not necessarily their best player, but they've been shaking things up. They've been moving. They haven't
Look at
been
Minnesota.
standing pat. Exactly right.
We just talk about Karl Anthony Towns, right? I mean, it happens. It's part of pro sports. It's part of the NBA, and you have to explore everything.
Yep.
You know?
Absolutely.
So it's there. All right, I want to talk NFL. Your team might win the NFC West, which is hard to believe.
Yeah.
I don't have any faith right now in the Rams or the 49ers.
Yeah.
And I really don't have any faith in the Cardinals. I don't have faith in any team in that division, but only one team from that division is going to the postseason, and it's the team that wins the division.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. You think the Niners are in the market for another backup quarterback?
Instead of Allen?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No.
I just have a hard time believing, and this, it's hard for me to say. Seattle usually has a way of fumbling these things, or at least the last couple seasons. I just don't see the Niners missing out on the playoffs. I just think they're going to find a way, and I know it's a big ask. You got Buffalo in bad weather this weekend, and a lot of injuries.
They're not going to beat Buffalo.
And I don't have their schedule in front of me, but I don't know. Arizona, like you said, hot and cold. The Rams don't seem to be putting it together, but I don't have, even though Seattle's won 2 in a row, still don't have the faith there.
They're not going to beat Buffalo in Buffalo. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I mean, I don't think they're ready to go and beat that team in that situation. I just don't. Now, you talked about the schedule, right? Let's go over their schedule. So at Buffalo, all right, home against Chicago, home against the Rams, at Miami, home against Detroit, at Arizona. That may come down to the final game at Arizona because they're probably not going to beat Detroit. They should beat Chicago. They should beat the Rams. All right.
Yep.
Miami's playing better if they're healthy. They're playing better. But they should beat Miami. I think they lose to Detroit, and then the Arizona game may be for the division. That could be the game that's flexed at the end of on the last night of the year.
Yeah, it's a great point. And by the way, if the Niners are able to win the way you just described, that means you're rolling into the postseason with some momentum. You're getting hot.
I mean, it's all about health with them, Ryan.
Oh, absolutely, Grant.
Yeah.
They haven't been. It's been a continuation. It's one of the things that we talked about before the season. Niners fan thought that because the calendar flipped from August to September, everything with the momentum and the injuries was going to stop. It kept going, and it's continued.
Hey, listen, Thanksgiving, 11 in the morning to 7 in the evening at Bennett's, Sacramento, Roseville, the West Side Grill. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com, make a reservation, and remember, you can get your Thanksgiving dinner to be picked up and you can enjoy in your own home. Once again, that is Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Want to tell you about New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you. They are available 24/7. You go to SackServicePlumbing.com or you call the number on your screen. That's New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you. So, Ryan, we were talking about the 49ers. We're talking about the NFC West. It could be worse. You could be a Cowboys fan, and Jerry Jones could be your owner. How about his press conference today? What is wrong with that guy?
What a gem. He has never believed any more in the talent that's on this team and the bright future.
In my mind, we have an outstanding future ahead of us. We have, not to take anything away from the guys that are going to be playing the rest of the year, but we have one of the top quarterbacks that's played this game in my mind. And you build around that.
Anyone that thinks that Dak Prescott is one of the great quarterbacks that's played this game has, unfortunately, dementia, early stages of Alzheimer's, or is living on a different planet. Jerry Jones is embarrassing himself, absolutely embarrassing himself.
Yeah, Brady, Rodgers.
I mean,
Prescott,
it's not even. He's not even one of the best quarterbacks in today's game. Period.
You know, Grant, there's going to bat for your guys. There's showing confidence, and then there's just idiocy. That's idiocy.
He's not even the best. I think he's the third best quarterback in the division. I would take Jaden Daniels over him, and I would take Jalen Hurts over him.
100%.
I mean, he's not even. I mean, you know, again, if you're going to rank the quarterbacks in the NFC East, I'm going those two ahead of Dak Prescott. And in the NFC, I mean, he's not playing better than Jared Goff. You saw what happened last year when Jordan Love went to Dallas. He played great. Dak Prescott did not. Okay. I mean, I can go on and on and on. All right. I'm taking Brock Purdy over Dak Prescott. I'm taking a lot of quarterbacks in the NFC over Dak Prescott. What the hell is Jerry Jones looking at? Good Lord.
You know, he lives in his Jerry bubble, or Jerry's world, biggest bubble.
I think Baker Mayfield's playing better than Dak Prescott.
Of course he is. Baker Mayfield.
I can go on and on. It's ridiculous.
Baker Mayfield has re-energized Tampa Bay. And it's been a great thing to see these quarterbacks who get a second coming. They make the most of their second opportunities. It's the best.
And you're not taking them ahead of Patrick Mahomes. You're not taking them ahead of Josh Allen. You're not taking them ahead of Justin Herbert. You're not taking them ahead of Joe Burrow. That's four right there that you're not taking ahead of. So I've already named, 9 or 10 quarterbacks and he's one of the great quarterbacks of his time. I mean, what the hell is going on in Dallas? What an embarrassment.
Yeah, and that's only one clip from today. Hey, I do want to ask you this because we've got football on Thanksgiving Day. Last year, you talked a lot about Detroit fumbling their game on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, they got blown out by Green Bay.
They've got a big one coming up. They've won 9 in a row. They've got the Bears coming into town, which I think is going to be the best game of Thanksgiving Day, who have lost 5 in a row. Does Detroit get it done this year?
You think that's a better game than Miami Green Bay?
I think so. Yes.
Okay. If they don't get it done, that would be a big time disappointment in Detroit. But to their credit, they bounced back after that Thanksgiving blowout last year. And they went on a run, and I think that Dan Campbell cost them a Super Bowl spot. But they're the best team in the NFC right now. I don't think there's any question about it. The Lions are the best team in the NFC right now.
Most complete, would you say best coach?
Yeah, I would say most complete. I think that's very well stated. I think they're most complete, and they are moving full steam ahead. I'd be shocked. Let me repeat. I will be shocked if they lose to the Bears on Thursday. Shocked. Not surprised. Shocked.
Okay. And
the Bears are not a good team, Rhino.
They're not. They're fighting, though. Caleb Williams is still trying to figure it out as he goes. They're still a little bit away, even though they have good, skilled players. How about that middle game? You going to be taking a couple-hour break from the TV?
Oh, my gosh. The Giants
Speaking
prevent offense against Jerry Jones' delusional Cowboys. I'm hoping the Giants lose. I don't want them to win a game the rest of the year because the only chance they have of improving is getting good players through the draft. So I'm okay if they lose.
Which New York football program is in worse shape, the Jets or the Giants?
I would say the Jets for this reason. The Giants have 4 Lombardi trophies in their trophy case, 2 in this century. Okay, 2007, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets haven't won since 1969. Hello. And we're talking about Joe Namath, okay, going against Johnny freaking Unitas, okay?
Wow.
Yeah, wow. So, like, the Jets have not really been relevant in such a long time that the Jets are in worse shape. And they're in worse shape for this other reason. They rolled the dice this year to
Yes,
get
they did.
Aaron Rodgers from last year and get Devontae Adams and get Reddick from the Eagles, okay? They were built to win this year. And look at what's happened.
Yeah,
So to me, they're in worse shape.
that's a
And
fair point.
and again, I'm not defending the Giants, but 2 years ago they were in the playoffs and won a road playoff game against Minnesota.
How does it flip so quick? I know the NFL, it's hard to win, but that was a quick flip with a lot of the
Offensive
same
line,
personnel.
offensive line, I'd start right there. They benched Evan Neal, who was the right tackle that year, this year. Andrew Thomas, who's arguably the best left tackle in football or one of the top 2 or 3, got hurt, 4 or 5 weeks ago. And from that point on, regardless if it's Daniel Jones or Tommy DeVito, they don't have time to throw the ball. You have just a couple of really bad personnel decisions like McKinney, who's on the Packers. I'm okay with them not keeping Saquon Barkley for this reason. The Giants would still be a non-playoff team with Saquon.
Right.
That's the reality of it. And I'm happy for Saquon because I think he's everything that I want in a player on the team that I root for. He's great in the locker room. He's great with the media. He's just tremendous. When he's on the field, he gives you everything he has on every play. I love players like that. But I'm really happy for him because now he's having his career blossom because he's with a good team.
Yeah, he's got some blocking in front of him, and it's been
Yes.
incredible to see what he did on Sunday night, excuse me.
It was incredible.
Spectacular.
255 yards rushing.
Spectacular. Some saying he could be the MVP of the league. Philadelphia
Could be.
playing well. Sirianni off the hot seat for now.
He's off the hot seat, but I also know Philadelphia, if they lose in the first week of the playoffs, he'll be fired.
Yep. I hear you. And Danny Dimes, the sweepstakes. Apparently, Danny is going to decide where he's going to land tomorrow. Who do you think it's going to be?
I thought it was interesting that former NFL quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's been through this many times, advised him to not do anything right now and take the rest of the year off and evaluate everything. But I had no idea. I heard Baltimore's interested. I don't know. I mean, I'll be waiting like everyone else.
Yeah, I'm thinking the end of a year. The Raiders trying to make a late play for him, which would make no sense at all.
It'd be a big mistake for him to go to the Raiders. They're worse than the Giants.
Go get your ass kicked for half a year's salary? No.
It makes no sense.
It doesn't. No. So it'd be interesting to see if he goes to a contender or not. But yeah, a lot happening in the NFL and college football.
Yeah.
Got the new rankings today.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute, but I want to tell you that tomorrow night on the postgame show, I'm looking for rant ideas, a rant with Grant, and it's brought to you by EDH Motors Automotive Reimagined. And I tell you, this is a concept that I think is awesome. It's long overdue, and there's no obligation to any franchise or big corporation. David and Adam from EDH Motors, they've got over 40 years experience in the automotive industry, and they'll offer new vehicle brokerage for you. They also offer vehicle consignments where they sell your vehicle for you. And of course, they can buy your car and will sell pre-owned vehicles, even your RV or boat. You'll take delivery at their beautiful lounge at the El Dorado Hills Town Center. You don't have to deal with going to a dealership, all the pressure that some people experience when they go to buy a vehicle. You don't get pushed into the F&I office. I mean, it's a great experience at EDH Motors Automotive Reimagined. And you see the website, edhmotors.com. And you'll be able to get in contact with David and Adam. So tomorrow, a rant with Grant on the postgame. Yeah, what about college football? Did any of the rankings jump out at you?
Not necessarily. Arizona State at 12, but if they win the Big 12, they're probably going to be there. Boise State still in position to get a bye at 4, but you've also got another couple teams that are biting at their heels. Alabama inside looking out. How about you? Or outside?
Not really, because to me, I think realistically, you have, even though the college football landscape and the parity to me is a lot different now due to the portal and NIL and everything that goes along with it. I don't think that there are more than 5 teams that can win the national championship out of the 12. So, like, I don't think SMU can win a national championship. I don't think Indiana can win. Boise can't win. Clemson can't win. Alabama, not good enough to win. I personally don't think Notre Dame is good enough to win. I think Georgia, just because of their experience,
Right.
I would never go against them. I personally don't think Tennessee is good enough to win. I thought they were exposed at Georgia 2 weeks ago. I think Oregon could win. I think Ohio State could win. I think Texas could win. I'm not sold on Penn State because they don't play well in big games. That's a big concern for me. But I think really maybe 4, 5 teams at the most could win the national championship. So even though the 12-team format is exciting and it's interesting, I don't think that I think more than half the teams couldn't win a national title in college football.
So as we sit today, Oregon, the number 1 seed, according to the latest rankings released today, they would be facing either Tennessee or Georgia, who would face off in the first round. I don't see Oregon winning a national championship, Grant. I just don't think they deal with
I don't
physical
either.
well. I don't think they show up in big games. I know they've won a couple this year, but Boise State pushed them around a little bit, and you're going to see either Tennessee or Georgia possibly. I just don't see it there.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to play Georgia in the first round of the playoffs. I'll tell you that. I just think with their experience and their coaching, and I'm not dissing Tennessee, but if I'm Oregon, I'd much rather play Tennessee than Georgia.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Notre Dame, not sold on them, even though I'm an Irish fan. Grant, I'm going to serve you up a big, courtesy of Arturo, juicy turkey leg. Grant, who's the worst owner in the NFL, Jerry Jones or Mark Davis?
It's Mark Davis by a million miles. When you go to a Dallas game, you don't see 80% of the stadium filled with visiting fans, okay? The situation in Vegas is a disgrace. I mean, the Raiders don't have any fans at their games. It's like LA now.
Yeah.
You have an owner who has no idea what he's doing. And I personally like Mark Davis, and I know Mark Davis, and I've talked to him on many, many occasions at Kings Warriors games. I like him. I enjoy talking to him. I also know that he's incredibly loyal to the players on the team and the former players. I would give him a A+ there. He's great with the Raiders alumni and what he does for them. Great. Phenomenal. But as an owner, he's a disaster. He's absolutely horrible. So to me, Mark Davis is the worst owner in the NFL. And I would put Woody Johnson of the Jets second on that list, not Jerry Jones. Say what you want about Jerry. The Cowboys are an institution because of Jerry Jones, and they are a iconic franchise in the world. And Jerry has a lot to do with that. Now, I do know that the success on the field has not been there, and they also have not won a Super Bowl in decades. And I do put that on the back of Jerry Jones. But I think Mark Davis is the worst owner. I'll put that question on you.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't have the intimate knowledge of Mark Davis, but if you're not a Cowboys fan, it's hard to make the argument that Jerry Jones hasn't been good for the NFL in football. He has done a lot of good in this game. He gets annoying. He's a little bit overexposed, but what he does charitable wise with the Salvation Army, talked about that earlier today. I just think he's by far a better person for the game of football altogether.
Blake Snell to the Dodgers. Hell yeah. Wow.
Interesting.
I mean, the Dodgers are, once again, huge favorites to win again next year without even knowing what else they're going to do on their roster.
Why wouldn't they be?
Yeah.
You know,
and then obviously, Juan Soto, what's going to happen with him and what's his cost going to be? He had a banner year for the Yankees.
Some are saying north of 600 million, Grant.
I wouldn't do it.
You've never been for those contracts.
I don't, but name me one that's worked out.
Well, Shohei Ohtani so far.
Okay. They did win the World Series.
Yeah.
So if he were to not play the rest of his career, and again, if or was be bad for the rest of the year, would it still be a good contract because they won a World Series?
For the Dodgers, yes. For another
Okay.
team, probably no.
Okay. Okay.
Think about how much money, talk about the business of sports, you're making off the field with Ohtani. That 40-40 ball sold for a ton of money, and there's a lot more records that are going to be behind that.
Okay, that's a good one. You had a quick answer. Name me another long-term mega contract that you would say, yeah, that was good. Albert Pujols wasn't.
Pujols was not.
Alex Rodriguez was not.
Nope.
It wasn't. So far, Aaron Judge is not. I know he just won the MVP, but he couldn't hit a beach ball thrown underhand in the postseason. I mean, I don't pitchers that have gotten big time deals. I can't name one that's worked out where they've gotten the huge money, and I'm not a fan of it. You want to give?
Yeah.
All right, I'll ask you because you asked me. Juan Soto, $600 million. If you're an owner of a team, you paying $600 million?
Oh, probably not. No. It seems like baseball doesn't get what a lot of the other sports are getting with shorter contracts, especially with the player movement. But I just think 600 is $2 million. Like you said, the list is too long. Number one. And number two, Soto coming off of a big year.
Yep.
What's the guarantee that he hasn't hit the peak? A lot of times things happen after that. With you 100%.
I would never, ever, ever, ever give a pitcher a big contract. I'd give a position player one. I wouldn't do it with a pitcher. No way.
It's like giving a quarterback a $235 million guaranteed contract.
Unbelievable. Hey, don't forget that the newest residential community in Calusa is Sunrise Landing. And if you go to CalusaSunrise.com, you can check out Sunrise Landing from Blazona Development. And 6 models to choose from. Now, remember, there's no Melrose. There's no homeowners. You have great access, I-5, Highway 45, Highway 20, adjacent to the Calusa Golf and Country Club. And once again, you go to CalusaSunrise.com and you'll get all the information you need on beautiful Sunrise Landing. So we got a busy day tomorrow. Sean Salisbury at 3 o'clock. Then we have our Kings Roundtable at 4. Right? I think we're going to still be able to do it. Are we going to be able to fit that in before the Kings Timberwolves game?
We will absolutely fit it in.
Then you'll have your pregame show, or will we just make that the pregame show?
We can make it the pregame show. Tomorrow, let me double check. Tomorrow we tip at 5 p.m., so we'll make it the pregame show. Perfect.
Okay, so 4 o'clock Kings Roundtable pregame show. Then the three of us again will be back at halftime tomorrow. That's Jerry. Included in that when I say the three of us. And then we'll have the post-game show as the Kings take on the Timberwolves. So a busy day tomorrow beginning at 3 o'clock with Sean Salisbury.
Looking forward to it. A lot to talk about. Mike Brown, we haven't talked about this. He was fined $35,000 for aggressively pursuing an official. I think he got off the hook there. It looked like he made a little bit of contact, Grant.
Yes, I think he made a little bit of contact. I think he's fortunate he was not suspended. Really sorry to hear that about your dad, Peter.
Yeah.
Very sorry. Prayers for you and your family.
Absolutely.
Do I think that Aaron Rodgers will start the remaining games for the Jets, or will he quit on the team? He won't quit on the team. If he's healthy enough to play, he'll play. He won't quit on the team. He can't. It will absolutely tarnish his legacy. He'll never get over that. You can't quit on a team in New York, and you just can't. So, no, I don't think he'll quit. You know, I also heard him on the Pat McAfee show talking about the reports of him wanting out of New York are absurd and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he said he doesn't know if he's going to play next year, but if he does, his first option is the Jets.
Do you even want Aaron Rodgers next year?
No, I don't. No, I do not. I can't. If I'm the Jets, I can't go through this again. I can't go through all the media nonsense, all the distractions, all of Aaron's weirdness now. I can't deal with that if I'm the Jets. So, no, I do not.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you put up with, or you could put up with when he's playing like an MVP, but not anymore. Here's a really good one, by the way. What'd you make of Dan Hurley's couple days in Maui?
Yeah, he's become unhinged, has he not?
A little bit. He's closer to Dion than he was before.
Yeah, he's becoming unhinged, and he's a great coach, and I think that goes without saying. But I think that he needs to be, reeled in a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like he's trying to make a little bit of a statement to his team. But the antics with the refs, I get. The
Yeah.
other stuff a little bit too much.
And I just want to say it's so sad to turn on the Maui Classic and not see Bill Walton there.
Amen.
Bill was a fixture at that tournament, and I used to talk to Bill a lot about that, and he just lived for that. It was one of his favorite times of the year to be in the gym and watch 4 games a day and not give a damn about the beach. And Bill's a beach kid, all right, beach boy, but like Bill didn't care. Bill was like, "Man, are you kidding me? I'm in Maui. I don't care if I'm in Maui. I'm watching 4 games a day or whatever it is." Bill lived for that. He was such a fixture at that tournament. And when I watched that, I'm like, wow, we lost Bill just way too early. Way too early.
Way too early. I was so glad that you said gym too, because that's exactly what it is in Lahaina. It is
Yes, it
just
is.
a little gym. We were there in
It's a gym.
2005 for the Maui Invitational.
Oh, really? Were
Yeah,
you?
yes. And they put on an incredible thing for the players and the families. She ended up spending Thanksgiving over there. But it was kind of analogy for Bill, the way he lived his life. A beautiful place, just a simple basketball gym, great basketball, great teams, simple things in life.
I actually am ready for Christmas, believe it or not. Okay. I miss listening to you on 1140. It's not the same anymore. Thank you very much. Because of uncommongoods.com that I am being transparent, I've endorsed the last month. And it's the best website I've ever gone on for buying gifts. It is the freaking best. And it took me 15 minutes to go through what I wanted, and I'm done. Uncommongoods.com. There you go. I'm giving you a
Wow.
plug. It's
Wow.
freaking awesome. I was like blown away. I was like, oh my, and I mean, you know me,
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, they have everything for under $50. They have items under 100. Then you have other items under 150. It's freaking awesome. So yeah, I am ready. I did it. I did it before Thanksgiving for the first time in my life. I'm a
Holy
Christmas
crap.
Eve shopping guy. I always do all my Christmas shopping on Christmas Eve. And the reason why I've done that in the past is because I know I can't wait any longer. So my brother and I, when my brother is 3 years older than me, and particularly when he was able to drive, we would always go out. We'd leave at like 2 in the afternoon, 3 in the afternoon. The stores close at like 6.
Yeah.
And like we'd be out, we'd be the last shoppers. We'd get all of our stuff, come in, wrap up our stuff for our family members. And we did it every year. And before that, I would go out, I think with my mother or my father. I can't remember, to be honest with you, but always on Christmas Eve, never before Christmas Eve.
That is incredible.
And even when I was announcing the Kings, I would say I was a little bit different with the Kings, and I'll tell you why. And I'm not being conceited. This isn't about like, oh, look at Grant Napier. It's not that, okay? I'm not like that. I found it much easier to do my shopping for Christmas when I was on the road because nobody knew me. And I would go shopping in Sacramento and go to Nordstrom's or go wherever. And I got people coming up to me all the time as I'm trying to look and buy Christmas gifts. And
Of course.
people are very nice. And I love talking to people, but like it became a too much of a burden to like try to find a nice gift or try to find what I want and try to talk to so many people. So I ended up doing my shopping when I was on the road because a lot of times our hotels were connected to beautiful malls. And it was so much easier for me. So I hope that makes sense.
And you get per diem on the road.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, I do miss that a lot.
Yeah. Shopping's not exactly the most enjoyable thing anyways. So
You do it online now? You do everything online?
yeah, totally. There's no use of going to the stores anymore. Why put yourself through that, Napes?
I don't disagree.
You know?
I don't disagree. The only problem is if you go online and you get something delivered to your home and it's for your wife, she's like, oh, what's this?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, it's like, oh, wow, you got a package. What'd you buy?
Oh, well, at
Well, I
least
can't tell you.
you know what?
And then if it has a label on it where it's coming from, you know,
At least you get that courtesy of what is this? Mine will just rip into the package. Hey, you
oh,
got something. It's almost
oh,
like a security check. It's got to come through the house first, pass her standards, and then I get to see what it is.
how about that? Well,
Yeah.
that never happened to me because I never ordered anything online. So that never went. But I was just saying that's one of the reasons why I didn't. You
You
know, I'm
know,
like,
you'll laugh at this. I came home because we got our son for his birthday one of those big Joes, the beanbag chairs, and it
yeah,
looks like a little recliner. It plugs in and vibrates. And I thought it came in two separate boxes, right? So there's this big box in the living room for a couple of days. And I'm like, Jen, are you going to set up the other part of his chair? And she goes, oh, no, that's a big box of King stuff that came for you.
oh my God.
Yes. And I had
Wow.
no idea it was here. She had
Wow.
already let me know. You know the
Wow.
box that I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Incredible. Wow. Oh, well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, we can wrap it up. I will, by the way, guess what I'm doing as soon as I get done with this show and putting it onto my audio platform on Spotify, Apple, and my website. Guess what I'm going to do for the first time in 72 hours?
Take a big, nice bite into a juicy piece of watermelon.
Yes, that's correct. I've gone now, let's see. I've gone 71, I've gone 70 hours and 15 minutes without a morsel of food. I've only had water. And so I'm 1 hour and 13 minutes away from eating. And I cannot freaking wait. My 72-hour water diet is almost in the books.
Take your victory lap, Napes. Take your victory lap. Hold that chest out high, dude. That is not easy to do. Yeah. Yep. There you go. That skinny chest. You didn't have any
Absolutely.
weight to lose before. But
Yeah, I didn't do it for weight loss, to be honest with you. I did it for all of the benefits that I've read from various experts on what it does to your body. It's almost like a reboot for your body with cells and everything else. It's supposed to be really, really good for you. And I'm thinking, okay, there are too many people that are swearing by this diet not to try it. So what do I have to lose, right?
I think we should tell Jerry about it. Could you imagine Jerry trying to explain the premise to Mrs. Reynolds?
No, not happening. Not happening. Not happening. But you know what's interesting? If you told me right now that I couldn't eat until tomorrow, I could do it.
Yeah.
Like now I'm not that hungry. About 24 hours ago, well, first of all, I made a bad mistake. Can I just be honest here? Last night I went out to dinner with a friend and I thought, no, it won't be any problem. I got willpower and I just had water and I'm literally, my mouth is watering watching my buddy eat. And not only is he eating, he's holding up the food in front of my face to tease me. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you, man? You know, I'm like, I'm nice enough to go out with you. I go, you know, I told you I wasn't going to have water and I'm hanging out with, and you're like, and you're effing with me, really? Like, I mean, you're torturing me, you know?
Oh man.
And then, here's another thing. So we had to wait like 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So the place right across from it had this beautiful video board outside its restaurant promoting their food. And it was like all of this meat in vegetables and fish on being grilled. And it's like, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh my God, this is torture. You're killing me over here.
You're like pitching yourself. Did I really make this decision? It's like classic dieting though. Like the thought of getting on a diet, you're like, oh, but I'm going to miss this. I'm going to miss that. But then you get like 3, 4, 5, 6 days into a diet. It kicks over where it's like, you know what? I can keep doing this. Oh yeah. I like it. I see results. So
the first 24 hours was really difficult. I shouldn't say the first 24. The 0 to 12 was not hard for me. 12 to 24, and then I was fine. And I was fine until I went out to the restaurant with my buddy last night, and then I wasn't fine. I was like, my mouth was watering. I was looking at that video. I'm like, oh my God, this is like stupid. You should have stayed home. But
More water, please. More water.
But I did it. I did it. So I'm all good. I'm all good. All
Give
right.
me a pitcher with a straw.
Yeah. Oh man. So tomorrow, 3:00, Sean Salisbury, right here on If You Don't Like That. Hope you can join us tomorrow, 3:00, 4:00, Rhino and Jerry. Then we have the halftime show. We have the post-game show, the Kings and the Timberwolves. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you. Bye-bye now.